You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now, it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
There's a lot that goes into buying a home. Security First Bank can help lighten the load. Whether you're looking for more space or a new place, we make the process easier with friendly, experienced mortgage lenders. And whether you're building new or remodeling the old, we have flexible financing too. Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Shaping up to be a pleasant early December day. We'll see clearing skies with an afternoon high of 45. Winds out of the south at around 10. Mostly clear tonight. Lows dropping down to around 24. And very similar conditions expected tomorrow. A few more clouds, but a high of around 45 once again. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to another edition of Outside the Box here on 93.7 The Ticket, being brought to you again by Raising Cane's. I'm Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman, and filling in for Rocky tonight, we've got one of his two assistant coaches, Mike Zanella, joining us. And Mike, welcome into Outside the Box. Should be a fun one here tonight.
Joel, thanks for having me. Look forward to chatting on air with you here.
A couple of fun games last weekend. As the top two teams in the Western Conference, I don't know if we spent enough time hyping that up. I'll have to ask Harrison, our producer, about that last time. I don't know if we hyped it up enough, but it kind of lived up to it. Two good games. Obviously, Friday wasn't the way the Stars wanted it to go, losing by a 4-1 score, but they sure bounced back last Saturday with a 2-1 win. Mike, what were your takeaways from the weekend? It was a battle, and Rocky, I think he correctly phrased it as it was playoff-like all weekend.
Definitely had a playoff feel to it. A lot on the line, two top teams going at it. It's always a fun weekend for that. So it was good. We learned a lot about our group. I think our group grew a whole heck of a lot from Friday to Saturday, and without even a practice. So hats off to our players for making adjustments and, being able to work with the staff and what we're looking for and, implementing the new strategies and things we're looking for. So it was great.
We have not had a lot of instances this season where you guys play the same team on Friday as on Saturday. How nice was that to kind of know after Friday, not the result we wanted, but we've got a chance the same team again tomorrow, and maybe we're feeling good that we can get them.
Yeah, no, that's great. Usually you got to wait a few weeks, if not a month or two, to get some revenge on an enemy or an opponent. But with the quick turnaround, it was great. At the end of the day, it's about us and what we're doing and things that we want to change or adapt or improve about our game. But it's nice when you got the same opponent and you know what to expect the next night. It's fresh on your mind too. So it's good.
Yeah, it was a great bounce back win, and special teams, I think, were the story of the weekend. The two power play goals last Saturday for the Stars. Klaus Weinberg's got the first one, and then Henry Nelson eventually got the game winner. And the PK just continues to chug along. Top PK unit in the USHL, a perfect weekend. I like to ask about that. What do you see going well on the PK? It's easy to say, well, they're killing everything. But what little things is this PK unit doing that's leading to success, Mike?
I think the first word that comes to mind for me is sacrifice. Guys are sacrificing their bodies. They're playing fearless hockey on the PK. Sometimes teams are a little timid to block shots and things like that. Our PK unit is not afraid to block shots. They're not at all. And then the next word would come to mind is habits. So we really try to instill good habits in the guys as far as stopping and starting, not circling, can't turn your back to the play, leading with your stick, always having your head up, know who's the one-timer threat, things like that. So, between the two, it's a pretty powerful combination, and we got a lot of smart guys that are willing to put the team first, and hats off to them for what they've done so far. It's been great.
One of 3 teams without a shorthanded goal, despite being that top penalty killing unit. I keep thinking we're going to see it at some point. There were a couple of chances over the weekend where I thought we might get one, a couple different breakaway chances, but still looking for that first one here. We're just underway here on Outside the Box, brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman, alongside the Lincoln Stars head coach Mike Zanella. After last weekend's weekend split against the Fargo Force, the Stars fell by 4-1 score last Friday, but bounced back the next day, defeating the Force by a 2-1 score. And Mike, continuing with the importance of that victory, you had a couple of guys who were banged up. We get some guys who are in and out of the lineup, injuries, and now we're starting to have guys go for these World Junior tournaments. Tanner Ludke will be out this weekend. He's got the World Junior A Challenge. Obviously, best of luck to him. The first exhibition game of that is going to be Friday. First preliminary game is next Sunday. I'm sure you guys will be watching that, as I will. That'll be a lot of fun. And then after this Friday, you lose Klobbs Weinbergs. Marion Moscow, after Saturday, is out. So a lot of moving pieces right now. Talk to me about the roster in that sense. It's an adjustment period for you guys as well, I imagine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think first and foremost, we're extremely fortunate to have the guys that we have, and hats off to our whole staff, our GM, Rocky, everybody that's been involved with the scouting component. To have the quality of players that we have and losing them to these big tournaments, international tournaments, I mean, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have these guys. So, the fact that we're losing them for a couple weeks is a big hit to our lineup for sure. But I think at the same time, we're very deep, and we've got some guys that haven't been getting some maybe power play time or as many minutes as they wanted. And this is a time for them to step up, and it's already began. You've already seen guys doing that. And, as some guys have been unhealthy and on the IR, other guys are getting healthy. Guys like Dashiell Oliver's back now. He's full swing. He's flying out there. This was his best weekend. Definitely Saturday night was one of his best games I've seen him play since being here. So, when one door closes, another door opens, and there's a ton of opportunity and playing time now for these other guys. So,
and that's the nice thing. It has been nice to see some other guys move into different roles. One guy who's shifted up his roles a little bit has been Brendan Ali. And I know Rocky's mentioned this before. He's a natural center, but he began this season primarily on the wing. They've moved him to center a little bit, and it's kind of worked out. I think he's looked pretty natural there, which certainly helps out when you've got a winger. And we've got a lot of those wingers who can move from the wing to center. But how nice is that to have so many versatile players like that? Jared Mangan's another one. Michael Messick. I mean, the list goes on and on with these forwards who can kind of alternate between the wing and center.
Yeah, no, it's great. In some ways, it really makes your life easier as a coach. Obviously, Rocky, it's his final call on the lineup and stuff. But when you have players that are in and out of the center position and are comfortable there, it gives you some breathing room as a coaching staff to feel comfortable with who's going to be going next and things like that, and shifting the lineup up once in a while. And also, like when it comes to power play and special teams, you got guys that have played on special teams all their life that maybe aren't getting those minutes right now, and now they're going to get those minutes moving forward with some of the other guys out. So again, that's another huge opportunity for these guys, and it's really exciting. So.
Stars assistant coach Mike Zanella joining me. I'm Joel Norman. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket. For the Stars this weekend, they will be on the road on Friday night, taking on the Sioux Falls Stampede at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. It will be a 7:05 p.m. puck drop on Friday, followed up by Saturday. It's Down Syndrome night at the Icebox, as following the 6:05 p.m. game, the Stars' specialty jerseys that they will be wearing that evening will be auctioned off, so you don't want to miss that one. Tickets available at lincolnstars.com. Sioux Falls Friday, Mike, they've been a little bit plucky this season. They're kind of in that lower third of the Western Conference standings, but as we continue to see throughout the season, as they took a couple of games last weekend against Waterloo, and we knew what they did to the Stars a few weeks ago, every team in this conference continues to be a legitimate team. You can't take anyone off despite their record. What do you think has been the trouble for the Stars against Sioux Falls this season?
I guess I'm in particular. I think our problem has been a little bit of consistency and being on the road. I think there's new rinks and stuff like that, and some of our guys are getting adjusted. Sioux Falls has a beautiful rink. It's state of the art, as you saw. But at the end of the day, I think really we just got to learn how to play 60 minutes night in and night out, and we really got that Saturday night. So that was the biggest difference from us from Friday to Saturday. Was we came out of the gate hot both nights, and then Friday, things didn't really go our way a little bit, and we kind of got pushed on our heels, and we never really bounced back. Where, you know, that was a big conversation Saturday morning before the game was, hey guys, like, whether we're up 3 goals or down 3 goals, we're going to play the same way. We're going to play Lincoln Stars hockey all night long, and regardless of the score, nobody should even know what the score is based on the way we play. And that's just the mindset going forward and going into the next weekend. And of course, we remember what happened last time we were there, and you know, there's some popcorn flying in the bench after when they scored their 3rd or 4th or 5th goal. And you know, guys don't forget that. But at the end of the day, you know, we really are about ourselves and our process and things that we want to focus on and things that we can control. So that's what we're looking forward to the most, is just building on the good thing we got going. So
Last time you guys faced Sioux Falls was 2 weekends ago. It was the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it was a situation where you had played 3 games in 4 days. That was the final game. Fatigue was understandable. But I think what's impressive is you look back at this past weekend, anytime there's a back-to-back, any level of hockey, I think there's the assumption that, you know, you're going to be pretty fatigued by the end of that second and third period of the second game of that stretch. But you guys played some of your best hockey of last weekend in the later stages of last Saturday. So I thought that was a huge sign that there is no excuse. It doesn't matter if it's a back-to-back. Did you notice something like that as well?
no, I think that those busy weeks where you got 3 or 4 games in a tight crunch there, it builds you up. You know, if you're smart about it, and Rocky's really smart, and Corey, you know, working with our guys on the physical aspect, and you know, you're able to build during that time, right? Build up your team, and then, you know, you take rest seriously when it's needed. And going into the next weekend, I thought we were flying. I thought both games, like I said, we came flying out of the gate. Luckily, Saturday we were able to sustain it like we wanted to. But no, I completely agree with you that it definitely was a different animal for us, and we look pretty well in shape at this point. So
yeah. So looking to defeat Sioux Falls for the first time, 3rd meeting of the season with them coming up on Friday. Saturday, a familiar opponent, as we would say. 4 times already playing Tri-City. You're going to face them at home on Saturday. That'll be the first game of 3 consecutive against the Storm. In fact, it'll begin a stretch where you play them 4 times of your next 5 games. So you're certainly going to see a lot of familiarity. And Mike, I'm sure you remember back in, what was that, mid-October? I think it was the home and home. And boy, by the end of that second game, you could tell the teams were pretty sick of each other. So I imagine tensions will be a little bit high over the next couple of weeks. I would assume, just with that much time against each other.
yeah, for sure. I mean, look, you look at our schedule. We're playing teams over 10 times. You know, the same team over 10 times. So, you know, that's for sure gonna to stir some animosity and throughout the game. But again, at the end of the day, like, we're focused on Friday night. That's all that really matters right now. And long term, we know what's coming, but in the short term, all we really care about is preparing for Friday. And then Saturday, it doesn't matter who's on the ice again. We're going to come out swinging and make sure we don't quit for 60 minutes. And hopefully we should like the result. So
one of your roles as an assistant coach, Mike, is you do a lot of video work. You know, it's clipping stuff for players, clipping stuff for Rocky to look at as well. When you see a team this much, are you in a way as excited because you can probably notice certain things they're doing a lot better from all that time looking at the film? Is it kind of nice being over the middle of a game, being like, you know, hey, I've seen this before. I know exactly what's coming as it happens.
Yeah, it's been interesting, watching the same teams, multiple times now. At the same time, you know, coaches in this league are elite. They're really good. They're constantly looking for ways to help their teams improve and make things better, especially on the special teams and stuff. So, if I think for 1 second I can just go based off an old game, I'm kidding myself. So by no means do we ever do that. We're always watching the latest games and seeing what they're doing. But honestly, Joel, a lot of our film is based on us and what we're looking at and things that we can improve. And then a lot of NHL stuff in Division I, we pull a lot of stuff from there. And I'm constantly learning, and that's a great thing about Rocky. He's constantly looking for ways to learn, and he's very successful. He's been very successful, but I think what makes him successful is he doesn't just sit back and say, "Oh, I know it all. I know everything." He's constantly looking for ways to improve, and that's what makes this group special. And it's fun to be around because we're all just hungry to improve and look for ways to gain an edge.
Take fans into the locker room, or maybe more specifically into the coach's room. When you're doing video work with a player, maybe one-on-one, what are some things that maybe they're asking you? What are some things you try to make a point to say, hey, this is something I noticed? Or, take fans behind the scenes a little bit.
So I think the big thing with us and any younger player is really you want to distill good habits in them, making sure that they're really in good positioning. They're giving themselves a chance to make a good decision on the ice. You know, in the speed of the game, the way it is today, you can't make decisions for people, right? So you want to arm them with all the tools necessary to make sure they're making quality decisions in a split second that they're out there. You know, from the bench, you can't yell and tell them what to do all over the ice, and nor would I ever want to do that by any means. But you got to really arm these kids with the tools to understand what the situation and what their choices are, and then during the moment of the game, they want to go out and make that decision themselves. So, I mean, a lot of video we do, you know, for every negative clip, I try to find at least one or two positive clips. You know, it's a learning experience, and we want to make sure we're building on the positive and reinforcing the positive. And not just dwelling on mistakes. I don't really think that gets you too far. I think these kids, and I should say these guys, these young men, all know when they don't do something right. They don't need to be whipped or beaten down, right? More times than not, they're harder on themselves than anybody. So they need to be built back up and make sure you're in reinforcing the good things too. So
We see a lot of that with guys. I see a lot of, I suppose, where you see guys, they can be kind of hard on themselves. Maybe it's watching film on the bus on the way back from a game. How, if you feel like a guy's down as an assistant, what are some things you kind of do to try to bring them up a little bit?
yeah, I think just leading off of what we were talking about, you want to find the positives in their game, and you want to make sure, you know, that they remember what a great player they are, and that they're here for a reason. They wouldn't be here if they weren't extremely talented. And you know, get back to what makes them successful. That's the big thing, is say what makes you who you are. You know, I don't want to change who you are. I don't want to change the kind of player you are. I want you to build on your strengths, and obviously we'll work on the weaknesses and help round you out. But you know, when things aren't going well, let's simplify a little bit, and let's get back to what you do really well, and just focus on that and the good things.
We're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey here on 93.7 The Ticket, as this is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Canes. I'm Joel Norman. We're joined by Stars assistant coach Mike Zanella. Around the corner, we're going to have Wyatt Olson, a forward on the Stars, as well as defenseman Antonio Fernandez joining us. But Mike, this is your first season at the helm, and for those who maybe aren't as familiar with you, take them through your journey, what it's been like here. You've been in Lincoln about as long as I have, a little bit longer, but you know, either way, it's a new experience for you after a change. Of course, talk to fans about your experience through coaching and what it's been like being here with the Stars so far.
Yeah, no, it's been fun getting adapted to everything here with you, Joel. I think we've become pretty good buddies. And Harrison, we like to hang out quite a bit. So, no, I mean, the adjustment's been great. Coming from Elmira College, Division III school, based out of the Southern Tier in New York. You know, when I got there, I was there for 5 years. When I got there, the program had missed the playoffs, or sorry, they were under 500 4 out of the 5 years. So we had our work cut out for us a little bit. And by the time I left, we were back-to-back NCAA contenders. And unfortunately, 1 year got cut short due to COVID. But last year we attended, lost in the first round, but we were very excited to get the program back to where it belonged. And head coach Aaron Saul and I worked really hard together, and our administration there was great in support. So we did a great job there. It was a lot of fun. And then the year before that was my first year coaching at Skidmore College with Rob Hutchison. He was an unbelievable human, extremely smart, one of the hardest workers I've ever been around, and just a guy that won't take no for an answer. He's going to figure out a way. He's going to figure out how to get it done, and nobody's going to stop him no matter how many tries it takes. And he's built that program into a national contender as well. And so I've been super fortunate to work for the two guys I did, and be part of the two schools and programs, and really close with a lot of those guys still. They text me quite a bit. We go back and forth about things, and mostly just joking around, not too much seriousness anymore. But it was a great journey at Division III, and now I'm super excited to be here working with our guys and helping them move on and better their own lives and careers.
As you made a shift in your coaching career, what made joining the Lincoln Stars, and maybe even more specifically the USHL, so enticing for you?
I think first and foremost, it was the players, getting to work with NHL caliber players. Some guys are drafted, other guys that are going to be going there regardless of their draft status, was extremely exciting. These guys are very, very driven human beings. They're really disciplined in what they want to do. They know what they want, and they work extremely hard to get there. And then the second component was really the coaching staff. I didn't know much about the town or a little bit about the league, but I was able to do some homework on the coaching staff, and I saw that they won just about everywhere they've been. And they've been through the trenches. It's not like they had anything handed to them. They don't have these rich hockey bloodlines that things were handed to them by any means. They fought and clawed their way and figured it out. And that was extremely exciting to me. And I talked to quite a few people about them and did some homework, and all signs were go. So here I am. I sold my truck. I packed up my stuff. I drove out west. My fiance isn't too happy with me for some days, but she comes out to visit quite a bit, so it's all good, and she really enjoys her time when she's here. So
It's obviously worked out very well with the team success as well. So far, everything's been working very well. What's been the biggest difference that you've noticed between coaching a specific college hockey program versus a junior hockey program? Obviously, the goal is to get these guys to these college hockey programs, but they're maybe run a little bit differently, or are they? Explain, if there are any differences that you've noticed.
I think the biggest difference is the amount of games played. College, you're playing anywhere from 30 to 40 games, and that's including playoffs and an NCAA run. Whereas here, you're playing 62 regular season games. So there's a lot more video. There's just a lot more time with the guys here. They don't have school per se in person. Some of the younger guys take some online schooling, and we're at study hall with them too. So you're constantly with the guys here from about 8 a.m. to about 5 p.m. So a lot more one-on-one interaction, a lot more time to help them learn and really get to know people. At the end of the day, it's a two-way street, and I learn just as much from these guys some days as I'm sure they learn from us. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a learning environment. It's a developmental environment, and like I said, it's not only the players learning, the coaching staff's constantly looking for ways to learn. And Rocky and I were talking tonight about a podcast that came out and some stuff from there that we thought was pretty interesting. And I'm sure we'll get to the drawing board tomorrow with Art, and Art will have some great ideas, and it's just fun. It's a really fun environment to learn and keep bouncing ideas off each other.
What I always say to people that I love about junior hockey is it has that professional feel to it. Yeah, like you mentioned, there are guys who are doing some classes, but for the most part, they're full-time hockey players. And I think maybe it's something that all the guys realize right now and they're thrilled by it. Maybe it's something they realize in a few years. Wow, that was really special. Is that something that you enjoy, working with guys who pretty much their sole focus is and should only be really hockey?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And I think it'll really start to hit them hard when they're freshman year. They got an 8 a.m. Monday morning class, and they're thinking, wow, I used to be stretching out or just rolling out of bed or rolling into the rink at this time. So they'll learn that. But for the most part, no, it's great. I mean, these guys don't really take it for advantage. They come prepared. But no, it's a lot of fun to be doing this for sure.
We're coming up on a stretch where the holiday break is right around the corner. It's almost a week off of games between when I think it's December 17th, I believe, is the last game prior to a stretch of a week without any games. I'm sure guys are looking ahead to it. I'm sure a lot of people are. It's just that time of the year for a lot of businesses. How are you keeping the team locked in on the objective, the 4 games that are ahead prior to that point?
Yeah, no, it's not an easy thing to do. I think a lot of kids are looking forward to break. It's been a long few months as far as amount of ice time and workouts, and the guys have been working hard. But again, I think our focus is right in the process and making sure every day, games are won during the week, not on the weekends, right? Games are played on the weekend, but they're won during the week. So, we're really just putting all into practice, and we're not deviating from anything. We still got our morning film sessions followed up by our pre-skills, and then our practice, and our afternoon skills, and either our workout or our speed skills. So we got very busy days. And so guys can't be looking any further than today or into tomorrow morning. So I'm sure everybody's got their flights booked. They got their travel plans set up. They know what they're doing. I'm sure they've talked to some buddies. But we're living in the now. We're living in the here, and our only focus right now is getting ready for Sioux Falls. So
yeah, that certainly will be even happier holidays if you get 8 points going into it as well. So that would be the goal right now as well. Let's talk a little bit about the guys who are about to join us here. Wyatt Olson and Antonio Fernandez, both guys who saw some action last year with the team. A little bit different. Wyatt had more of a cameo. Antonio more a regular last season. I'll start with Wyatt Olson. What have you noticed from him? He's been able to jump between roles. Started out kind of as an extra skater. He's found a lot of consistency staying on lines, and seems like he's only improving a little bit with each game. What have you liked about his game this season?
Yeah, being one of the younger guys on the team, you never really know what to expect from the young guys. Like, you hold them to a high standard, but you got to be patient with them and make sure that they're taking their time and getting their feet wet and stuff. But Wyatt's great. No matter where Wyatt is in the lineup, he's never complaining. He could be on the first line one night and on a different line the next, and his work ethic is the same. So, I think sometimes the younger guys are a little timid, like they shouldn't be scoring or they shouldn't be having too much success. And we're like, why? You come out here, you can score as many goals as anybody out here. Like, go out and, you know, do your thing, buddy. And he's been great. Honestly, he's been awesome. He's done everything we've asked of him. And I think he's a kid that, you know, you may not notice every night on the score sheet, but he does a lot of good things, and he's learning and growing, and his defensive game has gotten so much better, and he's learning to use his body at this level. And a lot of things for young guys that are difficult. You know, it's difficult to be physical with guys that are 4 or 5 years older than you, 3, 4 years older than you. So he's making all those adjustments, and all the points and all that stuff, that all comes. That's nothing that we're ever worried about. We're never worried about that with our guys. We're worried about playing the right way. And you know, before you know it, things flood in, and now you're saying, where did this kid come from? You know, so I'm really excited for Wyatt's future, because his progress here has been awesome. He's an unbelievable kid, so I love working with him every day.
You're number 2 for Antonio Fernandez. He wears the alternate captain A this year, one of 4 players, and boy, has he and several of the other guys really needed to have some leadership because of some of the injuries we've had. Doug Grimes has been out for a while. Mason Marcellus has missed the last 3 games, so some of these guys have had to really step up in that leadership role. What have you taken away from Antonio's play this season?
I think the big thing with Antonio is just his work ethic. I mean, he's always in the gym. He's always on the ice. He's always looking to get better. You know, he doesn't necessarily going to be the hoorah guy in the locker room, but he's going to do it through his work ethic. And I think the guys all respect that right out of the gate. You know, nobody's on the ice more than him. Nobody's skating longer than him. Nobody's out there before him. Nobody gets off after him. And, you know, with that alone, I think guys realize, like, okay, you know, I got to put the work in here. You know, that part has been the number one most impressive thing. And then just his on ice play, if you watch him, he's an extremely good skater. He sees the ice very well. I learned today that he was a forward for a long time, and
really?
Now it
makes sense. He jumps up in the zone a lot.
He sees the ice like a forward. He really does. Yeah. He's smart. He understands the playmaking ability part of it. And it helps him retrieving pucks. It helps him going back on pucks and helping break things out. So he's been great. He's been awesome. You know, we've moved him around in the power play. He's been super receptive to that. And because of it, we got rewarded this weekend because of that. So it's been awesome to work with him.
Yeah, it's been nice. And I'm looking forward to having those 2 on in just a moment. Mike, thank you for joining us, and hey, enjoy the rest of your evening. Let's get some more wins this weekend.
Thank you as well. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Of course, that was the assistant coach of the Lincoln Stars, Mike Zanella, joining us. I'm Joel Norman, and we will take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Stars defenseman Antonio Fernandez and forward Wyatt Olson. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
I'm Steve Carper, and I'm here to tell you that there's never been a better time to buy flooring. Whether you need carpet, wood flooring, ceramic tile, vinyl, area rugs, or custom blinds, you got to come to O Street Carpet. With our 12-month interest-free financing, you can do one room or your whole house and leave your holiday budget intact. And with our huge in-stock selection, you can buy today and we'll install it right away. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal? A dog, a cat, or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov/vetsgetpets to learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 Ticket.
Alexa,
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, Orsa, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa,
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, Call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
And I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
The steaks.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forest.
Truck CDL Class A drivers. The trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Dana Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Dana Trucking. Learn more and apply today at danatrucking.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars bro Joel Norman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman, and we're chatting Lincoln Stars hockey ahead of a couple of games this weekend. Friday night, the Stars are on the road against Sioux Falls. Before this Saturday, they'll be back at home for Down Syndrome Night at the Icebox. Puck drops at 6:05 p.m. Don't forget, it'll be a post-game jersey auction following the game. Let's welcome in a couple of our guests here for this evening. Wyatt Olson, a forward for the Stars, as well as Antonio Fernandez, a defenseman. Guys, thanks for joining us. And Antonio, you said this was Wyatt's first time on radio. Is that correct? So,
I believe so. Isn't that true?
Wyatt, come a little closer to the microphone so we can actually
is.
hear. We can tell he's a rookie right now, Antonio. So
okay, we all went through it. I think I messed up a couple times last year.
Yeah, you can move the mic like this, get it right up to your face.
There
You
you
go. You can whatever's comfortable. Perfect.
There we go. Wyatt, you don't have to show that it's your first time. It's all right. But anyway, guys, let's talk about this past weekend. You split a couple of games with Fargo. Friday night, 4-1 loss. You bounce right back though the next night. I imagine you guys were pretty excited to be playing the same team again. I'll start with you, Antonio. Was there any discussion among guys? Let's get them tomorrow. Let's reset.
Yeah, there definitely was. I mean, Friday night, we can all agree on, was not a night we want to remember, and that's not how we play our brand of hockey and our identity. And on Saturday morning, we all came to the rink and kind of addressed that and realized that if we want to be a Clark Cup contending team, we have to kind of buy in all together and play the Lincoln Stars hockey we know. And that's what we did Saturday night, and it was a group effort, and it was one of the best games this year, I thought, because it really showed our resiliency after a tough Friday loss.
Wyatt, it wasn't exactly your typical Lincoln Stars victory. There weren't 4 or 5 goals. It was tight. You guys cashed in a ton on the power play, which we kind of were waiting for, and you guys got a couple of goals there, but a lot of the little things went right. Felt like a playoff game. What did that mean?
Yeah, it definitely was a fun game to be in. Team played like full 60 minutes, which is always good. Like Tony said, I thought it was one of our better games this season. So just being in the game, being a part of it was really a fun atmosphere.
I think it's one of those things where as a fan, you looked at last Friday and you could have said, the Stars are a little banged up right now. They're missing a couple of guys. This is a tough opponent. I think it would have been easy to say, we'll see what happens Saturday. But for you guys, you're healthy, you're playing, you're obviously confident in your team. You're not thinking that. What was the mindset of the group Saturday? Like you mentioned, Tony, you guys all talked a little bit. What were you telling each other? Were you saying, what was the message in the locker room?
Yeah, well, we definitely have some important pieces on our team missing last weekend, and it was kind of just a time to see who wanted to step up, who wanted it more. And we saw that Saturday night with some guys getting on the board and with PP finally showing up like we know we can. And it was just a good all-around effort.
Wyatt, you were one of the guys who's moved around some roles because of some players injured, some players leaving for juniors right now. They're playing in. What was that been like for you? Because you saw a little bit of action the last couple of weeks working with Tanner Ludke and Patrick Raftery, a line that you guys had a pretty good run for a little bit there. But as we know, Rocky does like to change up the line, so things very fluid. What's it been like for you shifting around some lines a bit here?
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, Ludke's a really good player to play with, and so is Raft, really hard worker. So, I mean, just really fun to play with those two.
What have you, when working with different guys, does your game change at all? Or you pretty much stay the same? Or is it sometimes you kind of have to blend your abilities based on who you're with?
For me, I just try to just blend it a little bit while trying to keep who I am and just playing my game, but along with like trying to blend it with the other teammates.
Antonio, I wanted to talk with you about this. This is your third year working with head coach Rocky Russo. What's that been like? You're very aware of, I imagine you can kind of have a feel at this point what he's going to say in certain situations. How nice is it to have that type of familiarity at this level when change is pretty common in general?
Yeah, no, Rocky's great. He's done a great job this year delivering important messages, like just sticking to identities and working hard, and that'll get you far. And just he knows how to deliver those messages, and he knows how to get through players.
Sioux Falls coming up this Friday, 7:05 p.m. on the road. For whatever reason, that's been a struggling team for you guys to face. You've gone 0-2 against them. When you guys look back at that, I'm sure you'll do some of the film this week as well. What's kind of stood out about those games? I'll start with you, Wyatt. It's a team who's a few spots below in the standings, but they've had the Stars number this season. What are some of the challenges they presented?
Yeah, it's definitely a weird kind of situation. We feel like we're kind of a better team, but they've taken to us a couple times. So, they're pretty fast, a little bit physical, more teams. So I guess it'll be an interesting night Friday.
Antonio, you guys go into a situation like this. I've heard guys even say before I brought it up. You guys already know you're 0-2 against that team. How much does that motivate you to go get them?
Yeah, well, every team in this league, I think, is a very good team, and we can't take any team lightly. And it seems as if we are doing that when we're playing a Sioux Falls team, and we know they are a very strong team, and we can't take a team like that lightly. And so we'll get the message through first 10 minutes, and I think that will build off to the rest of the game, and we'll be much happier with our outcome this weekend.
You mentioned those first 10 minutes have certainly set a huge tone for the whole weekend, a big weekend coming up here. Now, the beginning of these first periods, I talked about this a little bit with Rocky. Some of them have been a little bit shaky, I guess we'll call it at times. Some of them you guys haven't gone off to the right footing that you want. What's the best way that you can change that up? Is it a couple little quick changes? Why? What is it? Is it something like more pucks on net? Take me through that.
Yeah, I think, last 2 weeks, I feel like our shots in our first period have been relatively low. And I think, Saturday night, we got like 5 shots in our first 5 minutes. And that was really, really set the tone for our team and set the message to the other team. I think that's just the most important part.
Antonio, I hear Rocky say it a lot in practice the last couple of days. We got to get more pucks on net. How do you guys do that? Is it finding different ways to generate chances? Is it taking the shot when it's there?
Yeah, I think it builds off like our forecheck and just our D simplifying a little bit in the first 10 minutes and just getting them on net. And from that, we can build on some more and earn our ice a little better. And we could build into more creative plays, and that'll lead to some better outcome for us.
Let's talk with both of you about your time with the Stars. Wyatt, you played a few games last season, back more regularly this year. Antonio, second year as a regular, now wearing an A on your chest as well. I'll start with you, Wyatt. What's it been like getting more of an opportunity this season? Last year, you got a little bit of a cameo, getting a few games in. Now you're a regular on this team.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Every game, try to get better. Every game, try to improve my game. Every practice, trying to work on stuff that I need to work on. It's all about building, So I think that's a really important part.
What were some things you learned last season? You played a handful of games, and it's a big jump up going up to the USHL. What are some things you learned that you've taken into this year?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first games in USHL, the pace was definitely there. The physicality was really there. So over the summer, that's just kind of what I worked on, was getting faster and stronger.
Antonio, all rookie team last year, back again here. You were dealing with an injury to start the season, but you've gotten back out. When you go into your second year in the league, what are some things you do to try to improve, knowing what you know?
I think it's just being a little more responsible offensively and defensively. And I think just being more responsible defensively will lead into quicker transitions and more plays offensively. And I think it's just getting it all together. I think that's something I've developed in my game, and I think I could keep improving with that. And yeah.
Assistant coach Mike Zanella was on before, and he let me know that he found out recently you previously played forward quite a bit. How did you make that transition going back to D? Was it just something that kind of happened where, hey, there was a need at D, so you stepped in and you stood out? Or was it something that you at some point said, I want to try this out?
Yeah, sort of. I've always liked to say I've been a pretty good skater, and 16's year, my coach thought that was one of my strongest attributes, and he thought it'd be good to make me a defenseman, and I wanted to try it out, and I liked it. I could see the ice, and I could shoot from the point, and I think I learned it quick, and I'm still learning to this day.
What parts of being a forward do you take maybe into being a defenseman? I think it's easy to say you're always jumping up on the rush, but what are other elements you maybe use that fans might not think of?
Yeah, definitely, like maybe knowing where your forwards are going to be, and I think that helps me with like kind of passing where I'm going to pass. Like I know they're going to be here, I'll pass there, and it's stuff like that. And like you said, jumping up the rush is huge. That's how a lot of defensemen will get our shots.
Wyatt, did you ever have another position you played substantially? I imagine the younger levels, you're all over the place. They're almost positionless at a certain age. But did you ever have another spot that maybe you were at for a while before making the transition to forward?
Not really. I was always pretty much a forward. I mean, back when you were really young, you played goalie a little bit, but I hated goalie, so I was always forward.
What didn't you like about it when you were younger?
When you're younger, you got no pads. You just hit you with the puck, so I hated that part. That was the worst coming to practice. You had to play goalie that day. But yeah, no, I just always played forward.
Works out a little bit more, I would imagine, at this point, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's been nice. We're chatting with Stars defenseman Antonio Fernandez as well as forward Wyatt Olson here on Outside the Box. Stars are on the road on Friday night. They'll take on the Sioux Falls Stampede, looking for their first win in 3 tries against them before they go up against the Tri-City Storm on Saturday night. It'll be here at the Icebox, a 6:05 p.m. puck drop, and that one is Down Syndrome night. Specially jersey auction following the game. You can get your tickets now at LincolnStars.com. Guys, you have been lights out at the Icebox this season. Just 2 losses. I think from my first game I saw here in the regular season, it was apparent that there's an obvious home ice advantage here. Incredible fans, just a tough place to play at. How does that give you confidence on the ice? You can't control any of that stuff, but I imagine it's something that naturally comes to you. I'll start with you, Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, playing the Icebox is always awesome. The fans are great. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I think it was 2 weekends ago. We were at me and Klaus, my roommate, were at Canes, and one of the fans bossed our Canes, and that was just awesome.
That's really cool.
The fans are great. It's a really fun atmosphere. I mean, they get a lot of fans in there, so I mean, just all makes it worth it.
Had to feel a pretty cool little celebrity moment almost for you there.
Yeah, it was great. Sat and ate the Canes with them for a little bit. It was awesome.
That's really neat. What about you, Antonio? It's got to be fun being back here in front of these fans.
Yeah, for sure. They're probably the greatest fans in the USHL, and we got to take advantage every time we're playing at the Icebox, and we know it's to our advantage. So why not, play for our fans and just do the things we know to do to win.
Wyatt, you and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago after practice that this has got to be a tough place as a visitor to play. We were talking about that runway where the players come on and off the ice. Fans are pretty close. They're happy when you guys are going by. Maybe not as friendly when opposing teams play. I remember we were talking about it. I thought, boy, yeah, that would be kind of tough to be an opponent here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like the close quarter is between the 2 teams, the fans in that little area. I mean, tensions are high back there.
Is it ever a little awkward for you guys? The opposing locker room is right next to where yours is.
Yeah. Well, they got the refs there too, so it kind of eases out the tension a little. But it's like that in a few places. I know in Tri-City, we got to walk by the Tri-City guys, and it's just a little funny. You'll hear barking back and forth, and yeah.
I was gonna say, keep it family friendly. What's maybe the best chirp you guys have had? Either you've had or some other teams chirped you in a situation like that where you're in close proximities. Again, keeping it
I can't
friendly.
say I'm much of a chirper, but some of the guys on our team, shout out to Dougie Grimes. He gets after it, and it's hilarious when he does. I can't really say what he says,
Fair
but
enough.
just he brings energy by doing that stuff, and it's important.
Why do you ever chirp at another team when they're nearby you like that?
When I'm next to Doug, because Doug's a pretty big guy. But yeah, I mean, Dougie's a really good chirper. I mean, DJ's up there. Buko is up there sometimes. I mean, Yeah, that's great.
Bringing a little bit of energy as well. You'd love to hear that. We'll take a quick break here. We're joined by Antonio Fernandez and Wyatt Olson. This is Outside the Box, being brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just want through that. Mom told me
.org to find out Health and Human Services.
Let me tell you, get my eyes first. I just can't put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Early break with Sip.
Mom's process that has to happen, and I don't know that in year one is when you need to be worrying about how many games you need to get to satisfy the fan. I think that should be part of the equation in year one. I think what we should be interested in on the outside, that he lays a solid foundation that enables the program to grow from there.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, we all do a little, we change a lot.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
All I'm saying is there's a process that has to happen, and I don't know that in year one is when you need to be worrying about how many games you need to get to satisfy the fan base. I don't think that should be part of the equation in year one. I think what we should be interested in on the outside is a solid foundation that enables the program to grow from.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93 The Ticket.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scotts Bluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
All I'm simply saying is I hope that this was the best hire because we need the best hire here. And only time will tell if this was the best hire. But you gave him $9 million.
But that's the price of doing business if you're going to be in Nebraska. If you go out and say
9,
yeah,
did you think it was going to take 9?
I don't worry about the money because Nebraska told me not to, and when they threw away 7.5 for Scott Frost with 2 weeks left.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I don't care. Yeah, no, they're swimming in money. I don't care what they're doing.
It's crazy.
It's time for Outside the Box with Lincoln Stars head coach Rocky Russo and Lincoln Stars broadcaster Joel Norman on 93.7 at theticketfm.com.
And welcome back in again to Outside the Box as we're chatting about Lincoln Stars hockey, being brought to you by Raising Cane's here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Joel Norman, joined by Wyatt Olson and Antonio Fernandez of the Stars. And Wyatt, we were just joking a moment ago, this is technically your second time being involved with the show this season. Now, a couple weeks ago, we had a funky situation. We didn't get to really explain it on air that night. Klaus Weinbergs was our guest, but he was a little late arriving. But you got a call in the middle of that show from head coach Rocky Russo. Just take fans through the story from your perspective of that evening.
Yeah, I mean, Klaus had the radio show that night, and I didn't really want to drive him and come back, so I just let him take my car. And I got a call from Rocky about half hour to 45 minutes later, and he's like, "Where's Klaus?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I thought he left like an hour ago." And he's like, "Well, he's not here." I was like, "Oh no," but yeah, he got lost that night on the way here.
Yeah, it was funny. He showed up it was probably about 15 minutes left on the show or so. He showed up, and he was just out of breath. Couldn't find the place. I was trying to talk to people, couldn't convince them I just needed to get over here. And it was a little funny how that involved you in it. But I remember Rocky on the phone saying, that you were saying, "Oh, I let him drive my car." He's saying, "You let him drive your car?" So he was a little. I mean, that's got to be tough though, coming to another country and trying to figure that stuff out too. So
yeah, I mean, he likes to drive because he never gets to come when he's here. He has his license. He's older than I am, so I was like, whatever. So
we got here eventually though, that was what mattered. As I mentioned, we're chatting with Wyatt Olson and Antonio Fernandez here ahead of the Stars games this weekend. Friday on the road at Sioux Falls, and then this Saturday at home against Tri-City. And you guys are going to get to see Tri-City quite a bit here coming up. You've already seen them a lot, 4 times on the season, 3 wins in those 4 meetings. Now, after Friday, the next 3 games will all be against Tri-City, and including this Saturday, 4 of the next 5 games will be against them. I imagine as a player, you don't enjoy seeing a team that much, or maybe do you? Take me through it. I'll start with you, Tony.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think I'd rather maybe go somewhere else or something, not Tri-City. But I mean, it is what it is. Schedule can be a little redundant like that, and we just got to make the best of it. And we know we're a better team, so we're gonna pull through.
Wyatt, is there ever a time maybe you line up on a face-off, you look across the guy, and you're like, "You again" or something when you play a team a lot?
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess against Tri-City too, the games always seem to get it kind of chippy, a lot of chirping, a little too many penalties probably. But yeah, Tri-City is definitely one we're gonna have to take to them.
One of my favorite questions to ask this year has been because of Rocky. He said he dislikes Tri-City more than Omaha. Who do you guys dislike more? I think all the fans, it's easy. They say, of course we dislike Omaha more. But as players, maybe which team annoys you a little bit more? I'll start with you, Tony.
Yeah, well, coming from last year, Tri-City always had us. So I think it's more of like in the back of my head that, it's Tri-City. We don't want to play them again. But I'd have to go Tri-City over Omaha, honestly, just because I hated that team so much last year.
What about you, Wyatt? You did score against Omaha this season. Do you dislike them more, or do you dislike the Storm more?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go Tri-City since, I don't know, they just got some players that aren't big fans of.
They just like getting under people's skin.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
They're that team that's like, Omaha is at least kind of like, they're just like a regular team. We don't like them but because they're down the road. But Tri-City, they always like to try to get on your skin and do all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
There's a lot of parity between the two teams. Tri-City brought back a lot of players from last season. The Stars brought back a lot of guys, including you guys who played last season. So I imagine that's part of it. I imagine, would you agree with me, Antonio?
Yeah, I think so. I think they have some younger guys from last year that have kind of stepped up into the more important roles for them. And I think you could say the same about us. So I think, yeah, that relation does make sense, and it would make sense for both of us to not like each other.
Yeah. Let me ask this. You guys are going up against the guy for Tri-City coming into this weekend. He scored in 7 straight games, Evan Werner, since being acquired by them. Good end going into Friday. But when you guys, I don't know how often you're aware of these things, because I'm sure you check the standings. I'm sure you check the scores. When you go up against a guy who's kind of hot like that, maybe as a defenseman, it's more relevant. Are you thinking about, maybe I finish my checks on this guy, or I really try to, or is it something that crosses your mind at all?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that stat at all. So we don't really pay attention to really the stats outside of our team at all. We kind of just want to play everyone hard and heavy. And I mean, yeah, like a player like Werner we'll probably look at a little more, but there are some other players like that in our league that we have to pay maybe a little more closer attention to.
Yeah, he's been rolling right now. And for me, that's something I always wonder is how much are you guys worried about situations like that? Because I'm sure it's not often, but I'm sure if it's a guy, wow, it feels like he scores against us every time, it's naturally going to stick in there as well. We talked about this, though. You're going to see a team a lot. Do you prefer that in the sense that, kind of like we talked about with Fargo, you have that chance to bounce back? Or is it one of those things where after a while you're wondering, what can we really change up against them that maybe they haven't seen? I'll start with you, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's where I be tested against Sioux Falls. I mean, we obviously are looking forward to the game. We want to play the game. We're 0-2 against them, so I think it'll be a really good game, which we need to come out with a win. But like the 2-game series on weekends, I really like, actually.
I like that. What about you, Antonio? In the North American Hockey League, which we were in a couple of years ago, far more common to do stuff like that. Not as common in the USHL seeing the same team twice in the same weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I was in Amarillo, my time in the North American League, it was like we only played Shreveport and the Shreveport Mudbugs, and it just sucked going to Shreveport every weekend. And it's kind of like what's going on now. It's going to stink to go to Tri-City every weekend when we can go somewhere else. But I mean, that's the schedule they gave to us, and we just got to stick to it, and we'll play good.
Yeah, it presents its own challenges. Yeah. So, guys, thank you for joining us, and let's go get some more wins this weekend.
We'll do.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Antonio Fernandez and Wyatt Olson joining me. I'm Joel Norman, and this has been Outside the Box as the Lincoln Stars have a couple of games this weekend. Friday at Sioux Falls, back home on Saturday, 6:05 against Tri-City. Get your tickets at LincolnStars.com. This has been Outside the Box, brought to you by Raising Cane's on 93.7 The Ticket.